Many kids will be getting new devices over the coming weeks as the holidays arrive. What can parents do to keep them safe? That's our Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. With us is safety content creator Cathy Pedrayes, TikTok's mom friend. Hi, Cathy.
Hi, Fred. Thanks so much for having me.
And one of the things that we're talking about is, I guess, a survey or a study done
hmm
by Mozilla, maker of Firefox. So
hmm
give us a little overview about that, first of all.
Yeah, so Mozilla is the nonprofit foundation that's behind Firefox, which is the web browser. And Firefox, along with YouGov, conducted a survey. And one of the things that really stood out to me is when they were surveying parents, over a quarter of parents said that they did not believe their children knew how to protect themselves online. And so as we're, approaching the holiday season here, we're going to be gifting all kinds of smart devices and gadgets, the laptops, the tablets, the phones. It's a really great reminder right now to go ahead and prioritize these conversations around digital safety. And of course, Firefox has fantastic resources to do that.
Well, tell us about some of the things that parents should know and should do.
Yeah, so one of the top things that you should think about is the privacy of your data and a few easy little actionable items that you can start implementing right away, literally as we speak, is to start boosting your privacy and security settings across all your devices. Because the thing is, the apps that we use, the websites that our family uses, they reveal a lot of information about us. It reveals our likes, our dislikes, our hobbies, even where we live potentially. So a couple of things that you want to look out for is disabling location tracking services. It's also a good idea if you have an iPhone to use that feature that says ask app not to track. And then also don't accept the default settings, right? Opt for things that are more privacy focused. And a good one to think about is your browser. Opt for Firefox. It blocks ad trackers from sneaking company data. It also has total cookie protection enabled by default. And this is a feature that basically prevents companies from being able to track your data as you're browsing multiple websites.
And for parents who are concerned about screen time, and I think a lot of parents are, and grandparents too, what should they know? How do they approach this? Very often kids are very protective of that screen time, sometimes secretive, I suppose, too.
Yeah, well, I think you might actually find a little bit of relief here. So according to our survey, as you mentioned, screen time was the most concerning factor when parents were talking about digital safety with their children. And it's often the topic that prompted this discussion around digital safety to begin with. But recent research during the pandemic actually found that screen time or being connected online was really crucial to young people's feeling of connection and their mental health. And so I wouldn't focus so much on the quantity of screen time, but more so the quality. What is it that they're doing online? What is the content that they're consuming? Why are they consuming it? How does it make them feel? And really continue to have an open dialogue about this, because whether they're young or older, this is a topic that's going to keep coming up over and over again.
What advice do you have when it comes to parental controls and implementing them? And I suppose it's different for a 6-year-old than a 12-year-old or a 16-year-old.
Yeah, of course. What I would say is that it's tempting to want to rely on parental controls. It's great that we have the option. Definitely explore them because every app is different. But remember that it's just a tool. It doesn't offer 100% protection. And so that's where it's really important to have these conversations and really have it be a two-way open dialogue. These conversations are going to be awkward. They are going to be complex, but that's fine. Talk about that with your family. Talk about how it makes you feel. Have that be that two-way conversation and continue to do it early and often, because it is really what sets the groundwork for, kids and their online safety as they get older.
Now, before we let you go, tell us a little bit about your transformation. I understand you were an environmental scientist to this explosive career that you have on TikTok.
Yeah, it's interesting. I suppose I've always been interested in safety, right? Being an environmental scientist, my job was to inspect job sites for hazards. And so that's kind of where I started. And then I started working in television. And that's really where I became exposed to some of the dangers of having too much of your data out there. You know, my home address, my phone number was just readily available for anyone to search, and that's really true for most people. But when I was on television in 100 million homes, you know, not all 100 million people are great people. And so that's really when I started getting interested in, well, my goodness, why is this out here? How did it get here? And that really is what kind of jump-started my privacy advocacy career.
And a lot of people, you know, they were traveling, a lot of people during the holiday season, and people post these things online on social media, where they're going and when and what a great time they're having. What advice do you have for people about those things?
Yeah, listen, I can relate. Obviously, being on social media myself and having millions of followers, I'm definitely not a hermit under the rock, right? I share quite a bit. And I think the hardcore security experts would tell you absolutely do not share that information. I think there are ways to mitigate some of those risks, right? Let's say, of course, you have ways to keep eyes on your property, you know, cameras and things like that. Maybe you have family or neighbors that are checking in on your property, pet sitters, things like that that can just kind of mitigate. But I would say no matter what, never post where you are in the moment. If you're going to post, wait till after you've left the location.
Terrific. Is there a place that people can go to for more information about this survey and tips for parents?
Yeah, so the full survey will be released in January, but we are going to release some of the main talking points soon. But in terms of having this kind of awkward and complex tech talk with your family, go ahead and visit firefox.com/families. That's where you'll find all types of tips and tricks and resources and printouts. So it's a really great starting point. You don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Just, you know, follow along what the experts have already laid out.
Cathy Pedrayes, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me, Fred.